Good evening. I'm Landon with Merman Press. Today, we're going to start the first Appendix N. We're going to talk about the Boy Scout Handbook and its uses in life, especially for the layman and in our warrior studies. Stick with me. We're going to talk about the Scouting Handbook, Boy Scout Handbook for the Boy Scouts of America. I was a Boy Scout in my youth. This man to my left right here helped me along the journey a little ways. I happen to understand I might be in a new set today. It's my boyhood home. This is my father, codenamed Pop. He will be known as Pop forever. But the reason I want to start bringing books into my warrior studies here is it's a great place to start for people who lack knowledge, and it's a great place to take a step into whatever path you want to go to. The Boy Scout Handbook, everybody has some preconceived notions about Boy Scouts or have been in the Boy Scouts themselves. They understand that there's points about leadership in this book, and I've talked about it on my Snapchat before about being first aid, land nav, whatever it is. There's the basic way to do it in this book because it's made for 12, 14-year-old boys, okay? And that it's the best way to start. Appendix N is what the title of this video is. It's from Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it's all about the source books that helped Gary Gygax and everybody create the world that they work in. I figure Appendix N is a great way to start for us just because it helps me point out which books I want to read. So Pop, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. He has an older version of the Scout Handbook from when me and him were scouting together. This is the newest edition. It is spiral bound.
And it's awesome.
How many times did we want a spiral bound book?
That's all we talked about. I wish they made this in spiral bound. Because as you can see, my bridge is quite bent. It's,
yes.
It's a well-used piece of literature between the two of us.
They get a lot of use. So, as a scout leader, scout master at the time, what uses were the best for you to apply this book to? What were the things that you could throw the book at, technically and literally, and understand what was going to happen?
Well, this book is so basic and integral to not only Boy Scouting, and look, let me say this, Boy Scouts of America is a fine organization, no matter what press you hear. Yes, it's probably a paramilitary organization. We use the squad method.
Yep.
But what a great way to organize a bunch of rowdy young men. Okay?
Yep.
But this book, it's a treasure of knowledge to start with. But this book helped me focus what I needed to teach y'all. And I say y'all, we had a lot more members in the troop than just my son. So I wasn't teaching just my son. But there's tons of things in this, but that help me pinpoint basically what makes a citizen. Not just a Boy Scout. I always said that we weren't making men; we were making good men, and we were teaching leadership, and that's what this book does. And leadership should be, in my opinion, first and foremost in a warrior mentality.
It is, and it's also the first section in this new edition of the book.
It's the first section and the old section.
And we talk about making better citizens. Part of your warrior studies needs to be how to operate in your society, not a society.
Right.
A society is anywhere.
Yes.
Your society is the one you live in. That's
Correct.
your neighbors. That's your city council members. That's your county commissioners.
Yep.
Anybody.
Yep.
And there is a great deal of this book dedicated to local government.
Yeah.
And it's even got a guide in there about how to not influence it, how to introduce yourself to it. Go talk to a community member and ask them a question. It doesn't say what kind of question. You could ask them what kind of shirt they wear under their suit. But you could say, how did you get started? You could say, what made you want to be a city council member? Or what is the next big thing you want for town?
Well, and I think it helped you to realize, especially getting your citizenship. There's 3 citizenship merit badges, and we need to talk about merit badges later on.
Absolutely.
But there's 3 citizenship merit badges. There's citizenship in your community, citizenship in your country, and citizenship in the world, of which we're all citizens of the world. But we had to go to a city council or county council meeting to get that merit badge. It's an Eagle required, so you had to go get it. Landon is, by the way, an Eagle Scout, whether he's mentioned that or not. But you learn to feel comfortable going to your city council, county council, state legislature, whatever. But the thing about it is, warriors need to understand what's going on in your own community. And you should be influencing things in your community that...
Well, those are the people you're fighting for, man.
That's what I'm saying. You should be influencing the things in your community. You don't like the fact that they're after your Second Amendment rights. You don't like the fact that they're after your First Amendment rights. Get your butt to a city council meeting. Get your butt to a local... Get in touch with your state and country legislatures and let them know that you're not happy with that. And that's what this book gives you a foundation in. And again, most of y'all know this, especially as adults, but it don't hurt to touch up on what your responsibilities are as a citizen.
Absolutely.
Not only your community, but your country and your planet. And you have responsibilities as a world citizen too.
Yeah. One thing I would use this book for is to springboard yourself into the next level. Right? You can plateau on this book rather easily, right?
Sure,
you go to the land nav portion. It's big pictures, big words, but the words are color coded now. So you can pick them out.
I think again we're talking about scouting, and you and I are very familiar with it. Some of y'all may not be, but look, you got to understand the scoutcraft parts of this book, which are a large part of this book.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should master by the time you're a first class scout. Right?
Yeah. So what? So that's 15?
Your most important rank is first class. Because at that point you should know everything in this book as far as woodcraft and those things go.
Yeah.
Now, the next 3 ranks, you're learning about leadership.
Absolutely.
Right? This is what the scout program teaches. But so these fundamentals of land nav, of first aid, of woodcraft, of camping, knot tying, the use of the tools that we used in scouting.
Yep.
Look, if you want to be in the fight, you got to be alive.
Yep. And sometimes that means dipping into the basic functions.
And when you're in the fight, you want to stay in the fight.
Yep.
Right? So first aid, that's one of the reasons first aid was so important to Landon, and it's still important to Landon, to stay in the fight. But it ain't always about the physical fight, y'all. And that's the other thing about this book. It may be about the mental fight. It may be about the community. It may be about your citizenship again. It may be about a natural disaster that you need to go. Look, you may feel compelled to go, and you and I have talked about this too. There's times when I feel compelled to go to a hurricane zone and help those people, or to a tornado-stricken area, a fire-stricken area. And we can talk about the end catastrophes all we want to, and we prepare for those too.
Well, if I can boil it down to what you're saying, you want to be a good neighbor.
There you go. This book may not be the most fascinating read you've ever sat down and read. It may not be something you want to just sit down and read. But I promise you, when you pick this book up and you read some of the highlights of it, and you start, look, when you get to the knot section, you're going to want to go try some of these knots. I mean, and
I use them every day.
they're very handy, man. They're very handy knots. And, and look, I was a scoutmaster for 12 years. I can't remember half the knots. But I don't have to remember them. I go pick up my handy dandy Scout Handbook, and every knot enters in detail drawn for you.
Yeah.
So, I use those knots, but we use those knots in Boy Scouting ceremonially too.
Yeah.
I mean, these knots mean something to Boy Scouts, but there's things there about lashing.
Well, and while you're getting more specific, this isn't the only book Boy Scouts put out. The marriage badge, the merit badge books that they put out. I mean, there's one for each topic we've already talked about. There is a specific book for it that goes into more detail.
Yeah.
If it's in this book, it is a thimble full of the information you can get. But guess what? The merit badge books are also written for younger men as well.
Yeah.
to grab their attention. So if you need to learn about orienteering, it might be the best way for you to learn. There's a lot of pictures in it.
The orienteering.
I know I need a lot of pictures when I'm
the
reading.
orienteering merit badge is a hard merit badge to get, but
Yeah.
but there are 135. And we were talking about this earlier. There's 135 merit badges in the merit badge program, and 80%, and the percentage may be a little higher now, but I know 80% when Landon was scouting, 80% of all the kids who participate in scouting, okay, choose their lifelong vocation from the merit badge program. There are tons of merit badges out there. Google that shit. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yep.
Google the merit badge program. Check that shit out.
And for this book alone, I can't think. For one, I can't think of a more complete collection of basic knowledge.
No.
But I can't think of a more basic book that you could pick up that won't talk down to you.
No.
This book doesn't talk down to you at all.
You know, the thing that what's really cool about this book too, it in its compact size, you touch on a lot of issues in this book, a lot of things in this book that might save your life.
Absolutely.
But I know you can go buy a first aid book that's much more comprehensive.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's also much thicker.
Yeah.
Right. But this book it's just a good piece of. Look, I keep mine in my camper. It goes with me every time we go to the woods. Simply because, look, it even tells you how to make a dead burn fire. Cooking. Look, and you got to understand, a 14-year-old boy may have never cooked a thing in his life. His mama has prepared him everything he's ever eaten, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to take this kid to the woods for 3 days and make him cook his own meals and wash his own dishes, okay? Mm-hmm. If he's going to eat, he's going to cook, right? This book touches on that. Look, there may be some of y'all out there who've never cooked a damn meal.
Yeah, outside of ramen and cereal.
That's what I'm saying.
So, overall, this book, if I was to pick a book for step one and then go do stuff out of the book, there's checklists in here.
Yeah.
There's checklists. It's weird. Everything you need to prepare yourself is in this book.
Well, you got to understand, we give these kids this information, then we test them on it.
Yeah. All the criteria is in there to at least
you have to prove to me that you actually read this book.
And if you want to model yourself after something, I can't think of a better place to start than this right here, because anything in here can be built off of.
Yes.
This is
this is sub foundation. It's foundation.
Yeah. It's sub layer to everything.
Yeah.
And everybody needs leadership guidance.
Sure. Like this, because we're talking about leadership, and I look, leadership in my mind is an important aspect for the warrior mentality. Mm-hmm. Because whether you want to be the leader or not, you may be forced to be the leader or not.
Absolutely.
And other people may be banking on you to save their lives or to keep them out of danger. But look, leadership is a learned skill. You hear it crap all the time, people talking about born leaders. And look, some people are born with the skill.
Yeah.
But it is a learned skill. I have taught many men, good men, who now can be a leader because they went through the scout program in the scout book.
Yeah.
It is a learned skill, and I encourage everyone to get out there and see what you can do about that. Teach yourself how to be a leader. It's the first book we've talked about in Appendix N.
Yeah.
Right? So that gives you an idea of how important we feel like it is. Landon and I have both read a lot of the same books as far as leadership and warrior mentalities go. And there's tons of good literature out there. And you can really fine tune that warrior mentality.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
My warrior mentality is different than Landon's warrior mentality. Landon is a fighting age male. His warrior mentality is much more focused to the spirit point. My warrior mentality is focused on maintaining the society, the freedoms that I love, the great experiment that we created in 1776, the knowledge that we have compiled. These are the things, that's my warrior mentality. I'm thinking more along that. I'm more in the rear with the gear. He's more out in the front on the tip of the spear. But we're still warriors, right? Look, and we have invited people into our lives who are unable to be a physical warrior. Yep. But they have knowledge.
Yep.
And we've talked about this. And I knowing my son like I know my son, these are things he will talk about later on in more videos. But I encourage you to purchase this book. You can buy it at any Scout store.
Most sporting goods
Most
stores
sporting
have them
goods
now.
stores have them, but
Yep. And Amazon, I mean anything, and I mean they're not that expensive. I think I paid $30 for this book. And,
yeah,
and
that
the wealth of knowledge.
that's a very. This is a very nice. The new edition is extremely nice.
Yes.
I think I probably paid $8 for this one, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Inflation and other things.
Yeah.
But I just encourage y'all to listen in to Landon as he continues on Appendix N. I know I will be. Hopefully, I get to participate in some other books that we've
absolutely.
read.
I definitely plan on having you along.
But I have enjoyed our conversation tonight, and encourage you to look into this book. But I also encourage you to stick around and watch some more Landon's videos, especially on this Appendix N. I think it's a great idea.
Well, thanks, Pop. I really thank you for coming on. It means a lot. It really does.
I'm glad you invited me.
And there will be more Appendix N to come. If you really enjoy this, please like the video and comment about it. Comment a book you think should be on Appendix N, and if I haven't read it, by God, it's going on my list.
Yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but stick around. There's always going to be more. Thank you for coming by.